Yo.
Welcome.
Welcome. How y'all doing?
It's the off season. Everybody's probably sad.
Or happy that they won.
Or happy that they won. That's true. Obviously,
Hopefully.
if you ended the season with a championship, you're feeling pretty good. But anything other than that, our people are sad that the fantasy season is over. I mean, we got NFL playoffs.
Yeah.
We got NFL playoffs, and if you're interested in, obviously there's plenty of options to play playoff contests. That's always fun. Done a little bit of that myself over the years. Starting to try to provide some analysis for those games, if anybody's interested. But obviously, that's
we
not
got
necessarily
2 videos up on the channel already in the past 2 days about 2 of the matchups that are coming up on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Saturday, we will be live at 2 p.m. EST. Not 6 p.m. at our normal time. It's going to be 2 p.m.
Yeah, because we got games.
Yep.
Super wild card weekend. The Monday game for the first time. I don't know how I feel about that.
No.
I don't know how I feel about a Monday night playoff game. I understand why they are doing it, but it's the playoffs. Like, you're potentially putting the winner of that game at like a 2-day disadvantage depending on how they schedule the divisional round. And they're guaranteed they're guaranteed to be on the road, right? The 4 seed would play. Well, okay, I guess they're not necessarily guaranteed to be on the road, but they're likely to be on
Either
the
way,
road.
your point stands. I mean, it's it could put teams that are certain teams at a disadvantage for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but anyway, that's the playoff. I mean, it's still exciting to you have.
I mean,
the option.
it's good for the audience because we get 3
Sure.
straight days of football. But
yeah, and you have the option to play daily contests if you want to. Again, so that kind of like scratches an itch if you're having very, very early withdrawal from the fantasy season being over. If you're somebody like me, but we thought this might be.
That's why we play Dynasty.
That's true.
That
Dynasty
is exactly
Dynasty
why we play
keeps it
Dynasty.
interesting
Because right
on a
now I'm
day-to-day
hyped
basis.
because the off season is on. So people are now like, all right, let's get things moving. Trade deadlines are open.
They're pivoting to their research. Right. If your Dynasty league, if you're running it the right way, or if your commissioner is in the Dynasty league is running it the right way, all transactions are reopened, and you can do things during the NFL playoffs. You could have done stuff during Week 18 if you wanted to. Again, if the settings were trades were reopened as they should have been, and we'll in addition to taking a look at the NFL playoff games each week, we've started. Literally just now or just today started profiling the rookies. So you did a little something on Breece Hall. We'll obviously have videos for all of the prospects as they come out. As more information comes out from the combine, once we know where their landing spot is with the draft, what their position battle might look like if there is one, we'll have that all covered throughout the offseason.
What's going on, Brett? What's going on, Chuck?
What's going on, guys?
Yo,
thanks for tuning in despite being the offseason.
You can't be not impressed. I mean, I understand not being impressed by the movie, but I mean, I never
saw Sahara.
I'm still the full team Hayek, but I mean, you can't be not impressed by Cruz, bro.
Maybe it was just a bad movie.
It was a bad movie. It was a bad movie.
That drags it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the lighting was bad. I don't know. Never
hey
saw
man,
it.
Chuck man, that's what we're here for today. That's
Yes,
what I want to talk about.
We can talk Dynasty. We could talk, there's a couple Dynasty talking points. Obviously, we haven't vetted this entire class yet. And there's still a lot to get through. But, we've familiarized ourselves with some of the top prospects at this point. And then also it's an opportunity, at least now, to kind of reflect on 2021. How did it go? What did we, and you guys and us, what did we get right in our process? What did we get wrong in our process? Where were things that we could improve? This is an opportunity to kind of take a look back again. If you didn't win even if you did win a championship, you're probably you're looking at things where it's like
reevaluating.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You're still looking at things where like I got that specific decision wrong, or something like that. And nobody's perfect. Nobody's gonna ever have the perfect season as far as transactions, moves, decisions, all of that. But
if you ever do, it's an outlier season. I mean, they can happen.
Sure.
But
so
what's going on, Jason?
We got plenty of topics to talk through, despite it being the off season. I guess I don't know how about you, John. I feel like we're going to, talk Dynasty, and this is obviously a channel that intends to have plenty of content throughout the off season. Just a quick, I guess, like couple points or feelings about Breece Hall. You just profiled him. What are some early thoughts?
I mean, he's as complete a running back you're going to find in this year's draft. And while he's not that elite athletic tier like a Saquon Barkley or a Jonathan Taylor, I put him at like a Najee Harris. At the end of that video that I put out today, I basically came to the conclusion that he reminded me a lot of Najee Harris. Najee Harris coming out was a guy that admittedly I wasn't super high on. I was Team ETN last year. And he came in and proved me wrong. He came in and proved to me that a guy can be very good at everything, unspectacular at nothing, and come in and be a very, very productive fantasy running back, if not regular, just all-around running back.
The landing spot certainly helped, and I remember doing a video on Najee Harris post-draft where it was essentially, because he's a Pittsburgh Steeler, I feel good about his prospects of finishing as an RB1. So it was more, and I don't want to take away anything from Najee Harris, but the situation that he landed in couldn't have been better for his individual production. So that's why I ultimately was like, I'll spend a high second round pick on Najee Harris.
Looking at what Najee Harris became from what I saw in Najee Harris, I see a lot of the same traits in Breece Hall when I watch a Breece Hall. And I just come away thinking, if Breece Hall gets into the right situation, he could be the RB4 through RB10. Somewhere in that range.
Similar potential finish,
Right. I don't think maybe he has the juice. I don't know, but I don't know if he has the juice to get to that RB1 overall level. I don't know if he's a Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor type. He could be. I don't know. But I do think that he is an RB1 as soon as he gets to the NFL.
I guess the thing with Breece Hall is there aren't too many guys, we typically now these days, the first running back that gets drafted is like, maybe the end of the first round. That's kind of typically where. Yeah,
they're talking about him in the beginning of the second.
Right. I don't think he's going to be a first round pick because most of the teams in the back half who have made the playoffs, maybe there's one or two teams, they don't need running backs. The teams at the end of the first round, or who are likely to be at the end of the first round, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Bucks, maybe the Bucks, but like the Rams. These teams don't need the Titans. Did I say the Titans? The Titans. They don't need running backs. So if he's going top second round, unless a team trades up,
the one team I think that could be
Hall might end up
at the bottom of the first is the Buffalo Bills. I do think he could be in play there. Now, the one thing I do want to say is any running back that gets taken in the first round of an NFL draft is the wrong choice for the team.
Oh yeah, of course. We know
Najee
now.
Harris was not the right choice.
No.
For them to make to win games. He is an amazing offensive weapon. Travis Etienne was not going to ultimately help the Jags win games, even if he stayed healthy.
Especially when they already had James Robinson.
Right.
Who was undrafted, just continuing to prove the point. Yeah, it doesn't make logistical sense to spend resources that high on a running back.
But he will get resources spent high on him. And
he should be should be a high second round pick.
I think Breece Hall to me is the 101.
In Dynasty, yeah.
Yeah. In the Dynasty rookie drafts, he's the 101 in any format.
Including
until the quarterbacks, if I see somebody really rise to the top, take that.
Yeah, if Coral or Pickett or the kid from Liberty, if anybody wows anybody in workouts,
Mm-hmm. Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then maybe, but right now it's Breece Hall without question. And we got Jason here with the question. He's got the 103 10-man non-super flex.
So you're praying Hall falls to you somehow.
Yeah, I mean non-super flex.
Not likely.
Hall's gonna go 101, most likely. And if he doesn't go 101, he's going 102, and it's because
somebody took one of the wide receivers that they really like.
Probably somebody took Walker over him because the hype
or
blew
Spiller.
up from now until your draft, or somebody, or Spiller, right?
Do you have
at the 103?
I was going to ask. Do you have a are you thin somewhere?
Walker drafts or Walker drops
or Treylon Burks?
Treylon Burks, I know a lot of people are thinking Treylon Burks should be the first wide receiver off the board.
I think we're in agreement that there's another guy that we like.
Garrett Wilson is that guy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He reminds me of I've always I don't know if I've ever worded this, but I like dudes they're kind of considered on the smaller side. I've always liked T.Y. Hilton. I like Deontay Johnson. I like Jalen Waddle. Garrett Wilson fits that mold. I like him. I like him a lot. But yeah, I mean, Walker's in play at 103.
Not that he's small. He's 6 feet.
He's not. Well, when I say
he's not
he's not a Calvin Johnson type of
5'10",
build or Randy Moss type of build.
True.
That's kind of what I was trying to allude to.
Fair.
That's not his style of play. He's that, he can get a lot of work around the line of scrimmage with yards after the catch type of thing. So anyway, I like Garrett Wilson.
At 103, that's probably where I would be looking to go, unless if Walker
Hall and Walker are off the board,
right,
and your choice is Wilson, Spiller, Burks. Are you going?
Wilson seems like the surest bet at wide receiver. Now, there are people in this draft that have a higher ceiling, and that's why you're hearing people talk about Treylon Burks, because Treylon Burks has the ceiling of DK Metcalf if DK Metcalf were to put it all together. Drake London has the ceiling of a Mike Evans if he were to put it all together. That's the type of build that those two wide receivers are working.
Yeah, that's a good. I think that's a good comp
right?
For Drake London.
Drake London. You're also looking at a guy like Michael Pittman. Same kind of. That's the build that you're working with. Vincent Jackson. All right. Demaryius Thomas. That kind of build. R.I.P. as well. Didn't mean to name two dead guys, but they fit that archetype.
It happened.
So the upside is there for a couple of these other wide receivers. But the surest thing to me, Garrett Wilson.
I like him a lot as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't quite have a comp for him yet. I need to see more of his tape.
Garrett?
Yeah. I don't know if I have a comp for him, but
I think he's like a Jalen Waddle type.
Okay.
Like a Deontay Johnson type. Like, is that a perfect comp? Maybe not. But like of that same mold, like they're they catch a lot. They could be PPR, but like could be a PPR monster.
Could be a PPR monster, but could be more if put in the right situation. Like Jalen Waddle,
Sure.
One of the things I like that Jalen Waddle comp. One of the things I like about Jalen Waddle coming out of the 2021 season is that, yes, he showed that he can be a PPR monster. But if used in other ways, he can still succeed. If not to more of an extent than he did in his rookie season. I think Tua limits him. So did Brian Flores. And that's why
Hopefully that offense opens up a little bit, but
yeah,
that's for next season. But
yeah, so I like that Jalen Waddle comp. So if you're looking for this year's Jalen Waddle, it's
Garrett Wilson.
It's Garrett Wilson. Yeah.
Big fan of his. What's going on, Andrew? What's going on, Sad Jay?
What's going on, Andrew?
There's nothing off topic.
No, man, it's a general off-season discussion. So.
Yeah, we're here. There's no urgency as far as figuring things out or the waiver wire or anything like that. So we're good. Wondering who we'd be taking in the first round next year.
What are your first few picks looking like?
Well, Taylor's one. Taylor's one. Let's see what happens with Derrick Henry, the Titans. So Derrick, I was just thinking about this maybe like an hour ago. Derrick Henry is a good example of like the benefit of an 18-game schedule. Like, yes, he got hurt, but he got that extra week
to get healthy
rest
and to
up.
help his team. Yeah.
Yeah. So just a random thought, but obviously the Titans are off this week. They get the bye week. Well, let's see. Does he play in the divisional round? How does he look in the divisional round?
It's going to be a 20-game season by like 2024.
They better expand those rosters. You're going to need more than 53 guys to get through that, to get through a schedule like that. But You're right. And they're going to be traveling to London and Mexico City and all around the world.
That was the plan. They wanted to be there already if the pandy didn't pop off. But
that's true.
Let's get back to this first round. All right. Jonathan Taylor, Henry.
Let's see how Henry does, but he's obviously in that top 2-3 conversation. I think Austin Eckler is up there.
Yep, Joe Mixon.
I think let's see what happens with the Saints and their quarterback situation, but I think Alvin Kamara remains there. Joe Mixon is there. And then the wide receivers, you're gonna like Cooper Kupp is obviously going to be there. Chase,
Adams.
Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams will all be there.
They're all going to be in the mix. I don't think a tight end's going to get taken super early.
I think Kelsey is still like a back end first round pick. I do. He had another tight end, like overall tight end one season. Right? Did he edge out Andrews?
He was the tight end 2 for the first time in like 6 years in PPR. And the tight end 2 first time in 5 years.
What was the difference?
Yeah.
Like, how was it close? I have to imagine it was close because Kelsey did have another really strong season.
I don't remember when I looked.
Okay. But anyway,
I don't think it was close though. I think Andrews kind of blew him out of the water there at the end.
I think Andrews, obviously his stock went up, but I think Kelsey remains because he's attached to Mahomes.
Kelsey remains the one.
He remains the one.
Andrews
and I think he remains
the 2
like
over Waller now though. That's the difference.
Andrews over Waller. Yeah. That's yes.
Yeah.
But I think Kelsey remains like that. If you're in a 12-team draft, I think he's still like he was going as high as 4 or 5 last year. I think we still see him go 10, 11, 12.
And look at us, man. We're off topic. See, nothing's off topic, Andrew. But let's get back.
Man, we're talking first. We're talking about the first round, but yeah.
Thoughts on Elliott and CMC?
So there's
Elliott showed that Pollard was the better running back for the majority of the season this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure Elliott is more than a 3rd-round pick next year. And maybe that's extreme. Like, sure, there's going to be people that take him in the 2nd round, but there's no way you could take Zeke in the 1st round. There's no way. There's no shot. It's going to be another year older, another year with another. How many did he? I assume he had 200 plus touches again this year.
I would believe it.
That's on the low end for somebody like him. So
and the
I
thing
don't know
is,
that
he's signed there through the next like 6 seasons.
I don't know if it's 6 anymore, but it's at least 3 or 4 more. It's bad. It's
okay, if they cut him after 2022, it's only 11 million dead cap.
But for a running back, that's still gross. But you got to probably do it. That being said, yeah, there's going to be people who take Zeke in the 2nd round. There will be.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that. As far as McCaffrey, he's in the conversation in the 1st round as well. If you look at Underdog Fantasy, if you're somebody who likes to play Underdog Fantasy, 2022 Best Ball are already open. Those leagues are already open. No tournaments right now, but you can throw a $5 entry at a 12-team draft if you're so inclined. McCaffrey's like the 4th or 5th pick. His ADP is like 4 or 5. The argument in that favor is the only guy who could score 400 fantasy points in a season is Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
But do you believe him? Do you believe in him staying healthy and maintaining, let's even say 65% of the workload he has enjoyed over the past 2 seasons, where when he's healthy, he's still gotten 30 touches. The problem is he doesn't play more than 5 games a year.
If the Panthers were smart, they would treat Christian McCaffrey like they treated Amir Abdullah at the end of the season. They should just give Christian McCaffrey the Amir Abdullah role, rush 8 times, get thrown 8 targets, 10 targets, 12 targets,
14, whatever. Throw him the ball.
Supplement the pass like that, and that they did that a lot in his record-breaking season. They supplemented the rushes with targets. They just need to go that way, like all together.
They need to go all in on that.
Treat him like Cordarrelle Patterson.
Right, just make him a slot receiver, basically.
Right. And even then, is that worth 5th overall if everything goes right? Yeah. But you're betting on that coaching staff getting everything right
overhaul.
When they haven't.
They did overhaul. Right. Matt Rule fired 3 coordinators, including the offense, including Joe Brady during the season.
Yeah, but you're betting on them again. I don't know if I'd bet on them again. I don't know if I'd bet on them to do make the smartest decision at every turn. I'm sorry.
It's annoying that we have to caveat that with so many NFL teams. I don't know if they're smart enough to figure this out. But it's true. This is where we're at. So, yeah, like the question you have to ask yourself if you're doing, not even best ball, if it's July, August, let's say in a weird, in a weird universe, the ADP doesn't really change that much. Do you want to spend a top 5 pick, even if it's PPR, on Christian McCaffrey? I don't know that I'm ready to go there. It's just like there's so much risk. He's not old. He's still only going to be 26 when the season starts next year. He's not like, if he were 30, I'd be like, how in the world could you possibly spend a pick, a top 5 pick on this guy? So there are arguments to continue to believe in McCaffrey.
Yeah, but Zeke was 26 this year. Are you happy you drafted Zeke anywhere in the first round?
No.
Okay, then. And that's a Zeke that stayed relatively healthy, at least healthy enough
Zeke
to stay
games.
At least healthy enough to stay playing in the majority of the games. Didn't he play 17 games? Did he miss a game?
I don't think he did. He started popping up on the injury report maybe around like week 11, week 12, around Thanksgiving.
He played through it, and he was in your fantasy lineup every week.
Right.
For the most part. And I feel like that could be Christian McCaffrey next year.
He did not miss a game.
He could pop off early, get you a few 2-touchdown games.
He popped early. Weeks 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you were happy. Week 7 was the bye week. Week 8 and 9, not so much. Week 10 was good. Week 11 was all right. Week 12 was better. But after that, it was crap.
Are you happy with that, with the first round pick?
No.
Those boom games in there are you. That's what
there
I
were
think.
too
That's
many.
what I think Christian McCaffrey is. So
there were too many middling RB2 games for Zeke.
I'm investing in Christian McCaffrey if he falls to the 3rd round, and there's no way he falls to the 3rd round. So I will never see him on my lineups. You're just not going to have Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. There might be some scenarios like if I'm doing, for every 10 best balls where I have a low first round pick, if he falls to me, I'll think about it, but I'm not definitively saying like, yes, pull the trigger. So I might be a little more intrigued, but I'm in agreement with you that he's got to fall. Like at 4 or 5, I'll take Najee Harris. I'll take somebody who is younger. I feel better about as far as workload, and doesn't have that injury concern.
Dude, I'd take Leonard Fournette over Christian McCaffrey.
You take who?
I would take Leonard Fournette if he was re-signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over Christian McCaffrey.
Yikes.
And Zeke.
Well, Zeke I can get behind.
Same age.
McCaffrey and Zeke. Or you mean
and Fournette. Fournette's 26 too.
They're all the same age, yeah.
27, something like that. He's not old. I mean, he's not young. I would take him over both of those guys. That's crazy. But I would.
That's wild.
And that's something we got to talk about later, you guys. Whether it's later on this stream or later on in the off season, is draft strategies and how they're affected by what happened in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it goes 0 RB, hero RB.
We saw another strong season of 0 RB.
Yep.
Last year was a good year for it, and this 2020 was a good year for 0 RB. 2021 was as well. Now, if you drafted Jonathan Taylor and Austin Eckler, back end of the first to top of the second, you're going to stick to your tried and true RB strategy. But there were only so many of those teams like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So my thoughts on Elliott and CMC are they're probably going to be taken too high for me to ever be involved with them in 2022.
Yeah, for me, especially more so with Zeke, if his ADP rises to the 2nd round. Because remember going into this season, like everything was like Zeke's in the best shape of his life. He looks great, blah, blah, blah. If we're getting more of that narrative and it pushes his ADP up a little bit, I'll be even more out this year than I was last year. Last year, I wasn't like totally out on Zeke.
I know Zeke had the boom weeks.
Great. He still delivered some strong.
You would have been probably just as happy having Pollard in there most weeks over Zeke, and you probably would have been all right.
There were more than a couple.
Yeah.
There were more than a few weeks where it was like Pollard's outperforming him.
So I would just rather wait.
Yeah.
Get Pollard.
Sure. Fine with me, especially in best ball.
Yep. No. And CMC, honestly, I mean, would you rather have Hubbard 6 rounds later, 8 rounds later, 10 rounds later?
No, or whoever the direct backup is, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be Chuba. They drafted him too high. It's going to be Chuba.
Yeah, would they spend a 4th round pick on him, I think?
I think it was the 3rd. Could have been a 4th.
Okay. Regardless, I mean,
Trimble, it was either Trimble then Hubbard or Hubbard then Trimble. I think it was Hubbard then Trimble. But
the point is, it's good enough draft capital for them to fourth round selection, 126 overall. As far as I'm concerned, that's still good enough draft capital for a running back to where it's like, no, we got to involve him.
Yeah.
So yeah, could be the swerve that we look to. So obviously we're a long way off. We got to see how things play out. But hopefully that's a decent early breakdown of the first round.
Yeah, because let us not forget running backs. Can David Johnson real hard real quick? Can Devonta Freeman real hard real quick? Now Devonta Freeman came back this year. Good for him. Completely unexpected. But running backs can go from being top tier, top of the line, sure bet things to being completely shells of themselves really quickly.
Yeah, they don't go downhill. They go off cliffs.
So be wary of that when you're drafting some older guys.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. The Jay Cutler reality TV show. I think I've seen one episode of that.
Is that the one with his wife? Or did they, or maybe they divorced?
Yeah.
Kristen, or is it Kristen or Kirsten?
I don't know. I had to see Kristen one episode because
Cavallari, I think.
Podcaster, whatever that I listened to, was talking about how hilarious it was when he just like was I don't care.
Dude, his faces every time.
Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
To his wife though, it was so I had to peep one episode, but yeah.
Jay Cutler definitely has that like kind of. I have to imagine he's a very like bland, but I don't mean this in like a bit like, but like he's very like
blatant all the time.
Yeah.
Blunt. Yeah.
Right. Dry humor type, like he's expressionless or whatever, but it's funny in that sense.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I have to imagine he doesn't have to do that much to be entertaining because it's all in his facial expressions.
Yeah,
you know. So I don't dive into reality TV too often, but those couple of instances a year where I do, it's like, okay, I understand why people like this trash.
Yeah. No, Jason, you're hoping for one of the top 3 running backs. Yeah, okay. Hey, you got the 103. That has value. What I would do is try to trade and package that with an asset, move up to 1.
Just go get
This
Hall.
Is the draft to go and move up to 1 if you're at 2 or 3, to just go and get the guy.
Get the best player.
Because he's a sure thing. Just like Najee was a sure thing. And everybody got googly eyes when they were looking at ETN because he wasn't a sure thing, but what he could have been was
the
Kamara.
Upside.
You know, everybody was talking about, he could have been Kamara. And
the thing, I guess,
and Najee was the sure thing. You just go and get that sure thing. And
with
Breece Hall is that sure thing.
You mentioned the Bills as like a potential landing spot for Hall. If he doesn't end up somewhere there, though, we just obviously keep in mind, and you'll hold your rookie drafts after the NFL draft. Landing spot's probably going to play a big role here, and we've seen running backs succeed on bad teams before, but it is a bit more of an uphill battle.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. That being said, I do think talent is going to win out here. The body of the overall skill set is very impressive, especially. Again, and this is something John talked about in the video that he put out about Breece Hall, is with his overall workload, the 10% target share. It's like, come on.
Yeah, above 10% target
this
share
guy's gonna
he was getting in college. And
this guy transitions. He appears to be set to transition well to the NFL.
Yeah. That's the thing. He doesn't have one strength that's completely spectacular that vaults him ahead everybody else. He's just all around real solid.
Mm-hmm.
I compare him to like a David Montgomery type. That's another comparison, where he doesn't have like insane athletic ability, insane agility, insane speed, insane strength. He just does everything really well to the point where it doesn't matter. That's enough. Najee's the same type of guy. He can do everything really well. He's not Jonathan Taylor. He just can do everything really well. Breece is that guy. I want to see more Kenneth Walker too.
Yeah, I'm excited for that profile.
Because you might not have to move up to the 101. You might be able to move up to the 102 and get just the best of, or the one that fell. Of one of the two. I just got to see more Kenneth Walker before I say that it's safe to do that. But like right now, I'd move up. I'd just move up to get Bryce. But hold off. Don't do that yet.
Yeah, don't move. I would say it's a good idea to hold picks for now. Like, don't trade picks. If you're acquiring picks, then sure. If you're trading picks, now they're going to go up in value because rookie fever is going to take over by the time we hit April, if not sooner. Probably April. March is when people get all excited about free agent landing spots. Draft picks just go up in value as we get closer to the NFL draft and then subsequently your rookie draft. So I would hold picks for now. Unless, if you're making a trade to acquire them, then sure, do it. Because now you can get them as far as a little bit of a value.
Yeah, and something that we had talked about briefly here and there was that the 2022 class wasn't going to be as good as the 2023 class.
Yeah.
Now, what we mean by that when we say that is that the 2022 class is not going to be as deep with first-round talent as the 2023 class. The 2023 class will go 12, 13, even 13, 14, maybe even 15 players deep where they all have first-round pedigree as far as...
Yeah, you might not want to trade a first-round pick, or you might not want to concern yourself with trading up or down next year. If you have the 108 or the 109, you're fine.
Whereas in this year's draft, the top-end talent is still there. It's consolidated. There's only about 8 players that really warrant first-round draft capital, and if you have the 111... you're basically drafting a second-round talent. That's the distinction there. But that top-end talent in this year's draft is just as valuable as the top-end talent in next year's draft. Outside of, 1 or 2 players who are superstar level in next year's draft.
Yeah, when's Brock Bowers eligible to come out?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I love that dude, man.
Yo.
I love that dude. I don't care. I think he's just a true freshman right now. I'm like, this kid already looks like he could play in the league.
Yeah. A couple of scouts came out and said that today.
Said Bowers could play right now.
Yes.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep an eye on that guy.
Bichon is one guy I really like for 2023 running back. But we don't got to get there. We don't got to go there. Let's focus on this 2022 draft.
It's a whole year away.
Yep.
But yeah, don't trade out of for now at least, Jason. Hold pat. Let's revisit potentially trading out in a couple months. But also if you could use the talent, if you could use the talent. Like, I could just use an infusion of, like, a strong young player. Yeah, keep your pick.
And what I will say is this draft is deeper. The deepest position in this draft is wide receiver.
Yeah, it's like
and there's really only one
given year now.
Tight end prospect of any note, as far as I can tell right now. Trey McBride. And I'll be doing some content on him pretty soon. But, yeah.
Chuck might be interested in that because he's got a dynasty startup going on.
Should I do the startup for vets only around May and then have the rookie draft in August, September?
You could. When we transitioned, when we got all of our home people, like all of our friends and that we would consider our home league, transition to Dynasty, we did the auction startup and it was everybody. Rookies were included. It was a full on. It was redraft in the sense that everybody was available.
So rookies were very discounted.
Yeah, they probably
now
were.
if you have a group of people that's on board to setting up 2 drafts over the course of 6 months, go for it. I'd say if you can have 2 drafts before the beginning of next season over just having one where all the players are involved, I say go for it because the more drafts are more fun. At least to me, I love drafts. I mock draft when I'm bored. Like, I love drafts. So
have John be a spokesperson for the guys that you're that you're trying to ease them in on.
They're a lot of fun. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like that's personal preference. Like, do you want to do a startup with both? Do you want to do you want to have both rookies and vets available? There's a strategy there. Like John said, the rookie values are kind of baked into comparing them to the vets. So they come in, some people overvalue them, but there were some cases where your Terrace Marshalls of the world could easily be had in an auction where everybody's included. Or like an Amon-Ra St. Brown. He
was probably like $1.
He was probably like $5 tops. Whereas he would be a second round pick even last year before he even takes the snap. In a rookie draft, he's still a second round pick. So there's talking points and arguments for both. That's up to you. But as far as your challenge, like trying to buy them in on the slow clock, we had a similar holdup where everybody preferred an auction in the home dynasty league that we now have.
Yep.
See, I keep saying everybody has their quote unquote home league. In our home dynasty league now, we did an auction. It took probably about 4 hours on Sleeper. It was 4.5 hours. So you got to commit a chunk of your day to it.
Less than that, but
it went pretty quickly.
I think it was 2.5. I really think it went less than that. It just felt long. And that first time
I think it was over
longer,
3. We took a couple of breaks.
Yeah, but
we took a couple of breaks.
Still the best way to do it.
We took a half-hour break, and then I think we took like a 10 to 15-minute break, and then we just blasted through the rest.
It's the
auction
best way to do it.
allows you to do if everybody's held up on the slow clock draft and it takes 2 to 4 weeks, which I don't have a problem. Like John and I co-manage a dynasty team, and it was a slow clock draft, which was still fun because it allowed plenty of time and opportunity to make trades, to trade picks, go up and down depending on what you wanted to do. The auction allows you to complete it in a day. Well, a chunk of a day, like several hours. So let's say 3.5 hours. If you're doing 30-man rosters with 10 or 12
and when you're
teams,
doing slow draft, you do have to most likely pause overnight.
Yeah.
If not multiple times, at least once.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I did one where we had to pause at night 3 nights in a row because it took so long for people to get through stuff because people got days.
People got lives.
They're busy. People got days. What am I talking about?
We all have days. That is true. We have days.
Yeah.
Happy to say.
Yes. So you get my point.
Yeah. Chuck, I understand wanting maybe the idea of the slow draft. This sounds appealing to you. Being able to take your time and have those discussions for pick trades. Maybe that's appealing to you. If it's not appealing to everybody else, but you still want to get it done, talk about doing an auction, because then you still get an opportunity at now you're not beholden in an auction. You're not beholden to your draft position. If there's a guy that you want, you can get him.
Yeah.
You can just go get him. You can just pay up for him.
Honestly, it's really fun if you can get everybody on board with blocking out a certain amount of time on their schedule and a certain day, and having an auction draft. It is the best way to draft, and I never thought I'd say this.
I was
not a fan of the idea before I had done it because it seemed a little daunting. It's the best way to draft.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Because you get into you're getting into bidding wars that you never know. You never know who is going to end up in a bidding war on which player and for how much money. And when it happens, and when you see that number going up and up and up between 2-3 players,
it's like breaking points on guys. You got to be I don't like him that much. Damn.
Right. I like him, but I can't. I just can't realistically spend that much money on him.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. It's not the smart. It's not the smart play. Like, I want a dude. There's a guy I want, but I can't sell the farm for him. And
versus
it's easy to fall into that trap.
To the regular draft format where you got the 5th pick and it's snakes, then there are certain guys you're never gonna have a shot at, and you got to try to figure out how to best make the best out of that situation and draft right when you have the time to draft versus being able to pick from everybody in the league. And
right, like next year, if you want Jonathan Taylor, you don't need the first pick in an auction to get
If you want Jamar Chase and Jonathan Taylor on your team, and you want to pay up to get Jamar Chase and Jonathan Taylor so that you're set at two of the most important positions for the next
with two of the best players
6 years in Dynasty, if you're doing Dynasty, if not longer, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you have the 5th pick, there's no way.
If you have the 2nd pick,
right.
In a redraft next year, if you have the 2nd pick, you're not getting Jonathan Taylor. I mean, if the first pick is, if the guy's on drugs, then maybe. But
if you're in Superflex and you have the 11th pick, there's no way you're getting Mahomes or Allen.
Nope.
If
you
you're
can trade up
in
a slow draft, but you
got
to
one of those
sell
guys,
sell your assets.
Yeah. So auction's the way to go. And
I
want to skip below because Andrew JF wants just an explanation on Dynasty.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, Chuck, look into an auction and see where that gets you.
Yes.
And Jason, you're welcome for the information. Always happy to talk shop.
Yes,
but anyway.
Sir.
Andrew wants to see how Dynasty works. John, I'll give you the floor to open things up. I know you said you wanted to get down to this conversation.
Well, the one thing I want to just start off with is that, you're going to have the opportunity to be in a Dynasty league with us if you want to figure out how it's going to be, how it works. So,
are we doing Dynasty leagues? I thought we were starting. I thought we
were doing one of each, but
I know we
can talk about that later.
We're planning a guillotine. Okay, I mean, I'm on board.
Basically, what Dynasty fantasy football is the team that you draft doesn't get reset next year, and you draft again next year for different guys. That's called redraft, where you redraft a team every year. Dynasty means you can literally build a dynasty. The people that you pick the first time that you draft are the people that you have for the rest of their careers.
Yep, forever.
So if I have Jamar Chase and Jonathan Taylor, for example, again on my team, I have them until they retire on my team. And that team at the end of the season just gets rolled over into the next year. And every year, instead of having a draft where you draft a whole new team, you have a draft where you draft the rookies that are coming into the league just like you were an NFL team.
Mm-hmm.
So it allows you to act a little bit more like an NFL team. If you want to build your team a certain way, you can do that. If you don't want a guy on your team for the rest of their careers, you can trade him for a guy that you really like. Say you, for some reason, really don't like Jalen Waddle, but you really like T. Higgins. You can find a way to get that T. Higgins on your team for the rest of his career. Mm-hmm. So it's it allows the off season to continue to be fun because you can make trades. There's a waiver wire component that still comes into play in the off season.
Think when teams sign practice squad guys,
right,
as future options when the rosters expand. The NFL from weeks 1 to I guess including the Super Bowl, your game day roster is 53 players, but in the offseason the NFL expands that to 75 players. Think of waivers in a dynasty offseason that way, where you get an opportunity to sign guys or add guys to your team. They're low end options. They're clearly bottom of roster players, the likes of just go ahead and open up if you play Yahoo or ESPN, go take a look at the guys who are available now in a redraft league. All those dudes are rostered. We're talking several tiers lower are guys that you have an option to add on waivers in the offseason. But who knows?
But then it puts more emphasis on pro days and the draft and the combine, because you these things really impact your team. Yeah, after the draft, you could, I mean, think of how people were looking at, I don't know.
A rookie? Are you talking about like a rookie? Or
Yeah, I'm just thinking of somebody whose draft stock was affected by a rookie that was drafted to that team. Like Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon.
Everybody thought Melvin Gordon was going to be an RB1, and he was close. He came close. And he was going to have the role all to himself again, and for really the first time in Denver, because Philip Lindsay was going to leave, so he wasn't going to have a running mate there. He was going to get all the work. And then Javonte Williams was drafted to the Broncos, and Melvin Gordon's value fell dramatically.
Everybody punted on him, yeah.
Right. Then if you have Melvin Gordon on your team, that drastically impacts your team. So it Dynasty allows you to play fantasy football all year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really like football, if you really like fantasy football, if you like channels like this, if you like I mean, you can continue to be involved in it in some form or fashion by playing Dynasty year round. And if you're a nerd like me, you like that.
Yeah.
Because that was always my problem when we played redraft. We're in a redraft.
We're
league.
done after the season.
Yeah, and it was always just like, all right, we don't get to do this fun thing that we do for like 4 months, 5 months, again for another 7 months now.
Mm-hmm.
Now with Dynasty, we can.
You can play literally any day you want, because
Yep.
you can make a trade. You can.
Andrew JF, if your first draft is poor, you're basically stuffed. Yeah, you gotta make.
You have decisions to make.
Yeah, you gotta be like, should I be tanking my team right now? Should I trade all the good players that I do have for picks to rebuild?
Yeah, it's like, what is my situation? Like, do I stink, but I have a lot of young, promising guys? They just haven't, they collectively haven't put it together yet. Like, is that my situation? Do I stink and I've got several older guys who are not going to probably be in the picture by the time my team is ready to be good again? And then you sell
you're looking at players' ages, how long their contracts are.
Yeah.
All these things come into play when you're talking about Dynasty. If you draft a team that is really good, greatest team of all time, and they're all young, your team's going to be good for a long time. If you draft a team where you spent too high on an auction on 2 players, like a good friend of ours did, he who must not be named, he spent way too high on Josh Allen and Calvin Ridley, and the rest of his team basically stunk. Or at least did coming into the season, and then some things went his way.
Made some trades.
Right, but that's what it's all about. Dynasty, it's all about, all right, I'm at this spot, I'm at this position, what do I do to make my team better in 2 years, if not 1 year? And
But yeah, you are your team's general manager.
Yes.
You're
exactly.
like you're not just like it's not just, oh, I redraft, I pick these players, I make ad drops, maybe I make a trade or 2 during the season, and then the season's over. That's that. No, this is your squad for argument's sake, for argument's sake, forever. This is your team forever. And so as things develop and happen, if you have aging guys, if you're a contender, then great. There's value in literally every type of player. But yeah, if you just missed the playoffs and you're not feeling great about your team, and you have a couple young guys but you don't have a ton to hang your hat on, and maybe they're good but they're not great, but then you've got other aging players, it's an opportunity for you to take a look at your roster and say, I need to change this, because if I go into the season next year with this same group, I'm probably not going to see the results that I want if I ultimately want to win this league. So depending on where you're at, you can make a decision on any guy at any time. And if somebody, and as anybody knows, this is similar. The same concept is in redraft as it is in Dynasty. It only takes 2 people to be interested in making a trade.
Yeah. Or 3.
Or 3
trades, depending on Yeah.
Sleeper is a great app for dynasty leagues, and it also makes the intricacies of trades more fun because it makes it easy for you to involve more than one other team if you're so inclined.
Now, if you don't want to go all in on a dynasty league, there is such thing as a keeper league, and that's something that
keepers.
Big Kong is referencing here when he says, "I'm still in shock that my Colts were eliminated by a bunch of clowns." I'm definitely keeping AJ Brown over Pittman now. He's keeping AJ Brown over Pittman in a keeper league. Your team resets every year, but there might be rules to where you can hold on to a player from your last year's team for a draft pick penalty. So it might cost you a 5th round pick to continue to have Jamar Chase on your team instead of letting him fall to free agency and having to draft him in the 2nd round. Something like that.
Keeper is like an in-between between redraft and dynasty, but it's much closer to redraft because you're not going to be making too many. You're not going to be doing that much in the offseason in keeper regardless. Trades are more likely to happen closer to the season.
Who your keepers are from your team.
Right, that's pretty much it.
And if I remember correctly, Big Kong, it was AJ Brown for a 12th versus Pittman for a 21st. Or something along those
Brown
lines.
For a 13th, but yeah.
And you want to keep AJ Brown over Pittman now. I mean,
that's fair.
It's not Pittman, bro. It's Carson Wentz. He's terrible.
Water,
he's terrible. He's terrible. He belongs on the 2013 Buffalo Bills team. He's a quarterback for that team. He's trash. He belongs on the Browns. He should get traded to the Browns.
I think I saw something. Jonathan Taylor's like the first rushing champion to not be in the playoffs in like a decade or something.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor won
I'd be
the rushing
keeping
title
AJ
by
Brown
like
over
500
Pittman
yards.
now. Pittman too. Not that AJ Brown has had
Probably
offensive explosions like you would want him to.
He's
but
been up and down. His up games have been great.
His situation's
down games
better,
is
and
like,
he's a better talent.
What the
but
hell?
it's what it comes down to.
Yeah, he's a better talent. The Pittman, the difference in draft capital is still tantalizing. And let's put it this way: if the Colts, time is a flat circle, right? This time last year, there were all the articles were like, "How do the Eagles move on from Carson Wentz?" Now I'm seeing headlines like, "How do the Colts move on from Carson Wentz?"
And they have to play him next year. Like they have.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they can move off from him. Yeah,
next
I don't think
year
they can
move off him in. After next year for
after
no dead
2022.
cap, but they need to hold on to him for one more season. They do. So,
would that make Pittman maybe make Pittman a buy low in Dynasty right now because people are so down on Wentz? Pittman could be
I
a buy
wouldn't do
low
it
in
right
Dynasty.
now. I would wait a few months.
Maybe wait till the draft. Wait till the
yes,
draft.
because the Indianapolis Colts should be getting more playmakers on the outside. They got a pretty complete roster. They got 2 Pro Bowlers on the O-line. Their defense is stout. They got a pretty good roster.
Good. They need some
Their
secondary
quarterback
help.
sucks, and that's what the problem is. Their quarterback.
And this isn't
sucks.
the draft.
So what they're
going to
do
draft
is
to get a quarterback.
T.Y. Hilton probably isn't going to be with the team next year. Zach Pascal's nothing to write home about. Paris Campbell can't stay healthy.
Just can't stay healthy.
Neither can Zach Pascal, for that matter.
Yeah.
They're going to go and get another playmaker out there. They drafted Kylan Granson at tight end, so they have somebody to come in and theoretically replace Jack Doyle.
Jack Doyle.
I think Mo Ali Cox is signed there for another year at least.
I don't know what his contract is, but okay.
But they're going to draft another playmaker. And at that point, Michael Pittman's value will drop.
Then you go get him.
Then you go and attack the Michael Pittman owner. Yeah.
There you go. Don't attack him. Just talk to him.
Oh man. Yes,
I attack my league mates and threaten them to trade me their players.
Hey, it's worked for me in the past.
Going down a dark path. But yeah, no, wanting to keep AJ Brown makes sense. Not just because of the talent difference, but also just the situation.
Was
he's
Julio
a better talent.
Jones on a 1-year deal there?
I think he's on the way. I think so. That's a team they might draft a receiver. They're not a team that throws the ball a lot, but in today's NFL, you can't exist with just one receiver, no matter what your offensive philosophy
I mean, they need a tight end. They should go after Trey McBride too. They need
Oh, this year.
Oh
okay.
Wow, they have to hold on to Julio.
Actually,
Jones.
they need to hold on to Julio.
Ooh,
that was a bad trade.
$8 million dead cap if they cut him
in 2023.
In 2023, wow, dude, they're stuck with him for 3 years.
That was a bad trade. Oh, that was a bad trade for Tennessee. Wow, go figure.
I mean,
everybody thought I remember the Falcons fans were saying they got fleeced with that deal. Not necessarily now.
I thought he was going to be a wide receiver 1 again. If you remember the video that I did when we started really starting to pump stuff out on this channel, it started with Julio Jones getting traded. Because I did a video on how it affected Mike Davis. We did a video on how it affected Ryan Tannehill. We did a video on how it affected Julio Jones. We did a podcast on how it affected Julio Jones, and we did a live stream on how it affected Julio Jones. So, we all thought Julio Jones was primed to be at least a high-end wide receiver 2, and that was not the case. So, but they have to roll him out there for the next 2 seasons.
Yikes!
Wow. So they probably won't be drafting too many more playmakers.
Yeah, maybe they'll draft one late, not first round.
Yeah.
Not first couple rounds, most likely, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, AJ Brown's looking like a stronger and stronger option as far as a keeper.
Yep.
But whatever. He's got to pick up the consistency, because the boom games are great and they're a lot of fun, and he always looks like he's the type of he's got the size, the stature, the physical capabilities where it's like this dude looks like he could be in like a top 5, top 8 wide receiver every single week, but he's not, or at least this year he wasn't. There were a lot of weeks where it was like, what the hell,
and it seemed like the offense was holding him back at times. Obviously he was injured as well at times, but it seemed like
time to injury. I think
outside of like a few games where he really popped off, it seemed like the offense and was kind of holding him back a little bit.
They need to feature him more.
But who's another guy, now that we're talking about Dynasty, that actually, let's get to Andrew JF's question before we ramble on about other Dynasty prospects. Last question: how do you set draft order in the first draft? Depends on, are you using Sleeper, Yahoo? It's somewhere in your commissioner settings if you're the commissioner.
Yeah, I think it'll randomize it'll offer you the opportunity to randomize it if you choose to go to the draft. I would say, Andrew, that I would offer a similar sentiment that we shared with Chuck. Consider an auction. If you're truly wanting to look into doing a dynasty startup, remember, as we already alluded to, like, this is your team forever. You should get the opportunity.
Guys that you like.
Right, you should get the opportunity to add whoever you want, and you can't necessarily do that in a draft. So I would encourage look into an auction. Sleeper, I have to imagine you've heard us, or maybe you haven't, but we've mentioned Sleeper a lot on these programs. Sleeper is the app that we use for Dynasty, and I don't. There's not another platform I know of, nor do I care to look into, because that's how much I enjoy it. I enjoy Sleeper. The fun, and how easy they make it, how fun they make it. The functionality is easy
on the front end for the user. It's easy on the back end for the commissioner. It's easy on all fronts. They have a great notification system I mean, Sleeper's where I get alerts from now. It used to be RotoWorld a long time ago, but now I get everything. All the information I get is from Sleeper. So,
and all you need to do is have notifications turned on.
Yeah,
that's it. They'll do the rest. But Sleeper, I would consider looking into, maybe do a Google search for sleeper auction drafts, and go from there. I would encourage looking into an auction because it gives you an opportunity to, you set a budget, right? Everybody in the league has the same budget. Say we did 30 man roster spots, 30 man rosters. So you're talking about 320 some odd players that have to be drafted. So that does take time. The auction is going to require you guys to find, like, say, a half a day where it's like, this is when we're doing it. And it can be done anytime in the off season. But you set a budget. Everybody's got the same budget, and it allows you to bid on players. And whoever the high person is at the end, there's a timer. The timer reset. That you can set the timer to 10, 30 seconds, a minute, as far as how much time people have to place bids on a player. So you'll nominate, instead of the draft order, you have an order, like you all take turns nominating players that you're going to bid on each, and it's whoever you want to, when it's your turn to nominate a player,
nominate whoever you want.
Nominate whoever who's available.
Defense, or pick a guy that you actually like.
Sure, you can do whatever you want.
But sleeper's the way to go. Go with sleeper.
Yeah, I would say sleeper, and I would look into an auction.
Yeah.
If you ultimately do decide to go with a draft, or if your league mates aren't interested in an auction and you want to do a draft, sleeper should have an option to randomize the draft for you. But then if you do a draft, I would encourage making it a slow draft. Make it so that let's just say 8 hours per pick. That gives you an opportunity to take your time and also still have negotiations with people if in the event that you're interested in trades. Because if you don't have the 101 and it's a super flex league and you want Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, you can have a conversation with whoever has the 101 to try to trade up. At least that gives you that opportunity. Now, obviously it takes two to tango to complete a deal or even have a conversation about a trade. But a slow draft at least gives you time and opportunity to talk to people about making trades. So,
all right,
Sleeper's got plenty of information. As far as all you have to do is just Google or
need to spend too much more time.
Whatever search engine, just like Sleeper and then the topic.
Yeah. But I wanted to get into some. Well, first off, I wanted to get into some players that if you're in a dynasty league that you're looking at and thinking, what's he worth? Is this a guy that, like Allen Robinson is a guy like that for me. He's very intriguing. He should be going elsewhere after this season. He felt like he fell off a complete cliff. But prior to this season, he was wide receiver 12 in back-to-back years with terrible quarterbacks. And we know that the Chicago Bears were a complete tire fire this season in most aspects, not involving running the ball. So Allen Robinson, this becomes a buy low opportunity for Allen Robinson.
Yep.
Are there any other guys like that for you to where I'm intrigued by him? Another one for me is Adam Troutman. I think we were a year too early on Adam Troutman.
Might have been a year early on a guy like Troutman. We talked about this a few weeks ago. We highly touted his the prospects of him coming in and being a tight end one this season. Didn't happen. Right.
The growth occurred though, and he saw the right amount of work in the offense.
All the
it's just
snaps.
The offense stunk.
Right. The quarterback
and didn't utilize him.
Yeah. Losing Jameis probably squashed any chances of him, maybe developing some type of second half run as far as production.
So are there any other guys like that for you where it's like, I really like James Washington in free agency. I'm intrigued to see where he goes. Is there anybody like that for you?
So that they're gonna guys who will be free agents.
Just guys you're intrigued by. Guys who this guy is leaving, so it boosts this guy's prospects. Melvin Gordon's leaving, you're super high on Javonte.
I was gonna say, the guy who you just brought up.
A little bit more deep cuts than Javonte. Javonte's kind of low-hanging fruit.
No, I wasn't going to say Javonte. I was going to say Melvin Gordon. I'm interested.
Okay.
I'm interested to see where he goes because I thought he was possibly toast this year with the addition of Javonte, and he wasn't. He was still very, very much viable, and that might be selling him short this year from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah.
I think he's still only like 27 years old, so he's got a couple of years left. Where he goes will be interesting. Honestly, it might just, as much as I love Javonte, it might just make sense for the Broncos to just bring Gordon back and continue to run those two as a two-headed monster. We don't see anymore too many teams deploy just one running back. It's not the norm, not in today's NFL.
Yeah.
You've only got a handful. You can count them on one hand. So it'll be interesting to see what the Broncos end up doing there with Melvin Gordon, but he was productive for them this year. And especially if the Broncos can find a way to improve their quarterback situation, which shouldn't be hard. It's not that hard to upgrade from Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. You're talking about a whole boost to that offense as a whole. I feel like, maybe it's not.
Jimmy G is an upgrade for them.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
Daniel Jones could quite possibly be. That's the.
Nah, it stinks.
He's better than Drew Lock, bro.
I guess, but that's like. I don't know.
But basically, anybody could come in and be a boon to this offense, and Melvin Gordon would help stabilize whatever situation they're walking into.
I mean, I'll tell you what, the guy who I would be most interested in trying to buy low on now, and I don't know if Theo happens to be in here, but Calvin Ridley. I think the most recent news and developments that he's on the trade block is as much of an indication as we could possibly hope for that he's not done. He's going to play again. He's going to come back. Maybe there were issues with the Falcons in the front office that we just don't know about. And I know we kind of talked about this. We talked about this on Saturday, where Calvin Ridley came up, but he's a
my question is, how does the team putting him on the trade block mean that he is interested in playing football again? I'm intrigued if we've heard that he is interested in playing football again, or are we just going off of the insinuation of what somebody arbitrarily said about his situation? Is it some reporter saying, yeah, he quite possibly could be on the move? Yeah, okay, reporter, but are you getting that from somewhere? Is this news grounded in something that we can concretely say is from Calvin Ridley or his camp? Or is this hype off-season?
The fact that it exists is enough for me. Like, the fact that this talking point has surfaced is enough for me to say, yeah, let me check on Calvin Ridley. Because this news might not be something that necessarily, maybe to your point, maybe the Calvin Ridley owner is looking at that and saying, I'll believe it when I see it, and is still prepared to take an offer if the offer makes sense for them.
So I think the time to trade for Calvin Ridley was before that news would have dropped. Because I heard the rumblings about Calvin Ridley. But my problem with the report is that this doesn't sound like Calvin Ridley is saying he wants to play again. This is sounding like the team or somebody completely unrelated to the situation is just saying some stuff. Because that's sometimes what gets passed off as news these days.
I just have no reason to believe that Ridley is done, because this wasn't like an Andrew Luck situation where he outright said, I'm done. He never said he's done. He said he needed to step away from football, but he didn't say he's walking away.
I made this point on the last stream. When did Calvin Ridley go out?
week 7, 8, 9.
7.
Somewhere around there.
Calvin Ridley was not somebody that you were happy with having in your fantasy lineups, even when he was getting top 3 target share, top 3 in the league.
No, they weren't valuable targets. It was not a good. The offense was not good.
But just let me make my complete point.
Yeah, all right.
The perception on him is also that he's young. He feels like he should be considered in the same class as DJ Moore, AJ Brown, guys that have been around a few years, but they're still young. Calvin Ridley, I believe, is 27.
He turned 27 in December. Yeah, he turned 27 in December. He was a little older when he was drafted.
So he's actually like right there in the Cortland Sutton class.
Well, as far as age, yes.
Yeah. So
as far as
Dynasty,
talent, he's better.
Yes, and talent, yes, he's better at his height when he's playing across from a Hall of Famer who's taken double coverage away from him. Let me again pull up wide receiver Calvin Ridley.
Well, he put up numbers
weeks.
with Julio in the lineup and with Julio out of the lineup. He did. I know.
Calvin Ridley was the wide receiver 50 through the first 8 weeks
this year.
Okay, he played 5 games. So let's go. What was his ranking in 5 games? He was the wide receiver 38 through the 5 games that he played, and that was as basically. I mean, he was getting an insane target share at that point in time.
Yeah.
And he was a wide receiver 4.
Yeah, he was. Yes, he was disappointing relative.
So what are you? So yes, there's a lot of speculation around Calvin Ridley. I'm not going out and getting him because he in Dynasty 27 is not old. It's the prime of a wide receiver's career.
Yeah.
But when last we saw this wide receiver who was supposedly coming into his prime, he was regressing hard when he was relied upon to be the number 1 for the first time ever. And through 5 games of getting some of the most targets in the NFL over that span, he was the wide receiver 58 or 38.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
So I'm not, what draft capital am I giving up to go get a 27-year-old who, when last we saw him, wasn't very good? Was a wide receiver 4. I think whatever you're going to have to give up, you're overpaying.
Well, to your point about this being a weak draft class, if I have a late first-round pick, I might be interested in trying to flip that. If I have a top 7 pick, probably not. But I could be interested in, if I had a low-end first-round pick, and the Ridley owner had similar concerns and was verbalizing the same concerns that maybe you are saying right now, to that I would say, okay, I'll give you the 111 or the 112 for him.
And I'll take that shot. First round pick and doing that.
I'll take that shot
for another player, not Calvin Ridley.
I'll take that shot. I'll just say, and then I'm done on this.
Nick is a believer in Calvin Ridley coming back.
If you're gonna be interested in trying to
wide receiver, I am not.
If you're trying to buy low on Allen Robinson, why not try to buy low on Calvin Ridley?
Because the price on Calvin Ridley is a first round pick for somebody who, I mean, Calvin Ridley's just turned 27. Allen Robinson, I believe he's 29.
Yeah, he's around 29, 30.
2 years older.
Yeah, it's not that much older, but it was just a colossally disaster of a season.
Right, but...
right? Like, Robinson's season was off. It wasn't like it was even middling. It was awful.
Okay, you're making a comparison between what I said about Allen Robinson and what I said about Calvin Ridley. I think you can go out and get Allen Robinson for a lot cheaper than you can go out and get Calvin Ridley. And when last we saw Calvin Ridley, while he was better than Allen Robinson, he was a wide receiver 4.
Well, you and me were better than Allen Robinson.
Well, you may be fastest man alive, not me.
Fastest man alive.
And yo, Will, what's going on, Will?
What's up, Will? Nobody cares about your team.
I just
think
it's not that I don't like Ridley. I don't like Ridley for the price you're gonna have to get him. Do I think he can go somewhere and redeem himself and get back to wide receiver 2 value? Yes. Do I think you got to give up too much to get that? Yes.
I agree.
Do I think people are undervaluing the fact that he is an older wide receiver at this point? Yes.
27's not too, like you said, 27's not too bad. And yeah,
in Dynasty, that's something you got to think about.
If he goes to greener pastures, which shouldn't be hard, the Falcons are awful, right? I think his stock goes.
But that target share, bro. That target share, bro. Where else is he gonna go to get that target share? What are we chasing fantasy football? Targets.
The targets.
Where else is he gonna go get the target share that he was getting with Matt Ryan and the Falcons? Nowhere.
The Bears.
Nowhere.
The Bears.
Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney's not taking targets away from Calvin. 10 targets away from Calvin Ridley. Darnell Mooney will get 6 or 7 targets, 7 or 8 targets. This year's performance
could be related to the mental health thing.
Yeah,
probably is related to the
probably
mental health
is.
thing.
Yeah,
but the fact remains, we have never seen this guy produce wide receiver 1 value when not playing across from a Hall of Fame wide receiver, taking double coverage away before he fell off.
We saw it last year. Julio missed 6 games. I did a video on this last year. I know I did.
Yeah, Julio missed 6 games, and he filled in while Julio wasn't there.
He balled out.
And then he didn't.
This year he didn't. Yeah. Correct. This year he did not. All I'm saying is if I'm interested in buying low on Allen Robinson, I'm also interested in buying low. If I'm interested in buying low on Allen Robinson, I'm also interested in buying low on Calvin Ridley.
Would be a late second.
Hang on, let me finish.
That's the thing to me. The price that you'd have to pay to go and get what you're getting. The lottery ticket.
You didn't let me finish.
Okay. Continue.
But I was basically going to say the same thing. Allen Robinson's buy low is way cheaper. Calvin Ridley's buy low is still something I'm interested in.
Fair.
So I'm interested in him. And again, if he can find a better, of course we want to chase the target share. But if he gets to a better situation, which again shouldn't be hard, that's a situation I'm interested in.
Okay.
I don't think we've seen the last of Calvin Ridley.
I don't think we've seen the last
being
of Calvin
really
Ridley
good in the NFL.
Being good in the NFL. Really good?
I think we will. I don't think we've seen the last of him.
What was he? Really what was he that in 2 years ago?
You mean like his fantasy finish?
Yeah. 2020. He was wide receiver 5.
Boom.
I don't think he gets anywhere close to that ever again.
Fine. I won't.
I think
argue. I won't argue.
Yeah, if a wide receiver 15, if he can return to that for the rest of his career until he just fades off the map, would be a win for him.
And a late first round pick is something I would be willing to take the shot on, knowing that he has that in him.
But if there really is a problem that he can't get back to, then you wasted a first round pick. And I know we're talking in a late first and a diminished draft class. But you're still giving up, what would have been a high second round pick. And I'd rather give up a low second round pick. The draft capital matters too. Just because you know that the 11th pick isn't going to amount to much doesn't mean that the person that you're trading him to does.
No.
So I don't know, man.
This is why we have these discussions, to talk through them.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, if I have a late first in 2022 and Calvin Ridley can be had for that, I'm interested. That's that. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that. I'm interested in Allen Robinson too. I am, as a buy low.
Yeah, just there are other buy lows where you don't have to give up your first. And if you really want to give up your first, I feel like you can get more you can get more of a sure thing than Calvin Ridley with the first.
Who were late first this year in 2021? Like Kadarius Toney, like Terrace Marshall.
Late firsts, Rashad Bateman, Rondale Moore, Terrace Marshall, Elijah Moore.
Okay, well, I wouldn't want to trade Elijah Moore for him, but I would.
Yeah, but
those other guys I would.
Okay.
Those other guys I would. If the Calvin Ridley owner, if I had Rashad Bateman or Rondale Moore or Terrace Marshall, and the Calvin Ridley owner came to me and said, give me one of those guys and I'll give you Ridley, my answer is done. Sure. Yes. I'll take that shot. I'll try to get another. I like Rashad Bateman. I like his long-term prospects, but I'll take a stab at getting another Rashad Bateman at some other point down the line.
Okay.
That's just it.
Okay.
Elijah Moore, obviously, you got a better argument for it. But again, the draft is a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Got to actually get your picks correct. Thoughts on a rookie auction draft? We actually we just sort of had a conversation with Chuck about this, about like a Dynasty startup and how to set it up.
A rookie auction draft, though? That would be
I'm not a startup, but okay, so instead of the rookie draft,
I am opposed to it, because the goal of having a team where you're a manager is to operate like you have an NFL team.
It's tied to picks.
And I like, and the pick format, it's an equalizer. When you go into a Dynasty League startup where you have picks and it's not an auction, it's kind of an equalizer. None of the teams are leaps and bounds ahead of the other teams. It's an more even play field. And I feel like that works better for rookies than it does for startups.
So instead of trading picks, you would be trading auction dollars in a trade.
Yeah.
Like during the season.
And I don't know if I like that.
That's hard to put I feel like
I like that.
I feel like you're going to have I feel like trade talks are going to be way more like drawn out, because it's going to be like you're trying to squeeze that extra auction dollar out of somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that. The pick is, because it's so easy to wrap your head, because we're so used to and accustomed to draft picks, because that's how the actual pro leagues, like literally all four of them, or literally, I guess, not 100% sure how. I'll be completely honest. I'm not sure how players get integrated into pro teams like in soccer internationally. But like the four major sports in North America, football, basketball, hockey, baseball, use draft picks. It's the easiest way to equate to, or it's the when we do fantasy, it's the easiest way to equate to like future assets.
I would, without going into it much more, a rookie auction draft, I think, would be really that's a specialized league.
Yeah,
that's not,
because what happens if you get outbid? But like, what if your team and how do you determine, like, do the worst teams get more dollars? Like,
yeah,
does the team who won the champion, like, does the team who wins the championship, like, get, do they have any auction dollars?
Yeah, Will, I would say it would be something like that.
So,
but
okay.
If you did it that way, it would just, I don't know if I would be cool with doing that.
I almost feel like because people see those numbers, it would be harder if you were at the end of a round to make trades.
Well, because then what's the difference? Everybody knows the value of the 101 is.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's but
so,
like it's the difference is you're trusting people to have trained eyes to be able to identify a dollar amount and equate it to a draft pick. And no offense to anybody specifically, it's just like, do you trust your league mates to be able to do that?
Okay.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody's fantastic at it. Maybe everybody's a friggin' mathematician and, they know exactly how to, it's like, well, I would equate this to the 1.06 or whatever. I don't know. I feel like there's more room for, there's more of a chance it's like a slippery slope.
Fair. Yeah. I would stick with traditional rookie draft, but I love auctions for startups for sure.
I love new ideas in general. This might be where I kind of stand pat, though. I love experimenting with different ideas. I like experimenting with different settings, different league settings, different all types of rules. Because if it doesn't work out, then the worst thing that happens is it doesn't work out. Maybe it messes somebody up for one season, and then you just revert back and everybody goes on with their lives. But it is fun to tinker with settings, mess around with different options. Don't be stuck in the Stone Age playing
Scott
fantasy.
Fish mentioned it's a must for any Dynasty league he's in. Well, I
really
don't know if I'm ready to go there with him. So a good thing I'm not in any startups with Scott Fish. So
who is one of the most.
Maybe we'll get there.
Scott Fish is definitely one of the most. I don't know if influential is the correct word, but he has a huge reach and influence on the fantasy community.
Yeah.
And is definitely an innovator.
So yeah, this could be something that becomes commonplace in 10 years. We don't know.
Could be.
Right now,
Could be.
I would prefer to keep it to picks because
I like picks. Yeah, I mean maybe that's like a simplistic or like a simple way of thinking, or again a traditional way of thinking. And I like to consider myself somebody who's, when it comes to playing fantasy, I'm not traditional. I like messing around with different rules and different settings. That's something that I have not even wrapped my mind around yet. And I follow Scott Fish on social media. I like keeping tabs on him. He also just seems like a genuinely good dude, good person, who does good work in the community outside of just playing fantasy.
Yeah.
That's new.
Yeah,
that's
I'm not gonna go there. But real quick, it seems like we're winding down here. We only got 3 people in here with us.
Yeah, a little bit.
What's going on, Will, and whoever
welcome
the
to
other
the
2 people
welcome
are
to the
in
off season.
We will have more rookie content for you very soon. We coming out tomorrow. I think I'm gonna try to get an Isaiah Spiller something out.
All right.
And one thing I wanted to do though was to do 2021. A kind of review of players where it's just like, wow, I'm going to be really interested to see what his value is going into the next season. James Conner's one of those dudes. I'm real interested to see what becomes of James Conner. Do you have any guys like that where it's just like, yo, I really want to see what Cordarrelle Patterson is like next year. I really want to see what...
The obvious answer is the guy that I think is going to be one of the most talked about players this offseason, and it's Amon-Ra. I would be willing to bet Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the most polarizing players as far as 2022 fantasy discussions for this entire offseason, regardless of what the Lions do. We already know TJ Hawkinson's going to come back. We already know, DeAndre Swift did come back week 18, as stupid as a decision as that might have been for the Lions. But we know that those guys are going to come back. We know assume
that Goff is going to be the quarterback there too.
And we assume the Lions will upgrade somehow, some way in the receiver department, because they literally don't have anybody else. Well, no disrespect to Khalif Raymond, or Josh Reynolds, but they could improve there. They could upgrade there. And Amon-Ra was outstanding for these last 6 weeks. It wasn't like he was good. He dominated.
He was a top 6 wide receiver.
Yeah, he was an easy wide receiver 1. So he's going to be somebody that is very interesting. It's going to see, I'll be honest, my early expectation, I don't have too many shares of him. I think people are going to go gaga over him. And I understand why. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but it's just one of those situations where do I want to, in redraft or bet, like, let's just say best ball, do I want to spend a 4th round pick, 5th round pick on Amon-Ra St. Brown? And I'm not sure that that's his ADP. I actually don't know what his early ADP is. I'll look it up right now. I know he's going to be in a ton of fantasy conversations this year.
Yeah.
So he's the first name that comes to mind. And then let's see what happens with the quarterback situation in Green Bay and Pittsburgh. There's going to be some domino effects there. I love Deontay Johnson. Who's going to be the quarterback next year? Can't be that hard to upgrade from Ben Roethlisberger, but Pittsburgh's one of those few teams where if they don't make a move in the trade department, there's not a rookie quarterback that I'm that excited about. So, would I be faded? Do I have to fade Deontay Johnson next year? I feel like I might have to. But as far as Amon-Ra, really quick, and then I'll shut up. On Underdog Fantasy for 2022 early best ball, so his ADP is 72. So that's a little later than I would have expected, but still in 12-team leagues, that's a low end 6th round pick. That's a late 6th round pick. Yeah, it probably will go up.
Yeah.
Especially depending on what happens with the Lions and their draft. If their 1st round pick, they have a top 2 pick, it's going to be an edge rusher most likely. But if their 2nd round pick is not a wide receiver, like Amon-Ra is going to go through the roof. So do you want to spend a 6th round pick on him in 12-team redraft? We'll see. Not sure I want to do that.
One player that I'm really interested to see just what happens is I'm really interested to see where Godwin goes. I'm really interested to see if the Browns are going to cut Jarvis Landry,
which they probably will. Right? They can get out of a good amount of debt. They can. The hit is not bad enough where it's worth it because he's not a $13 million. He's not a $13 million a year player anymore.
I'm really interested to see if the Bills are going to cut Cole Beasley and save $8 million on the cap when they
what's the dead cap hit?
$3 million, negligible.
He's gone.
But they could save gone.
He only caught 1 touchdown this year. Beasley was so disappointing.
He's like 33 years old, but I believe 32, 33.
He's gone.
Gabe Davis had 14 targets last game, so he's firmly taken that role, that hyper-targeted role away from Beasley.
So you're telling me Isaiah McKenzie is the 12th round pick in best ball next year? Deal. Gone.
Yes. I mean, these are the situations that I'm thinking of. Mike Williams, does he get re-signed by the Chargers? Or is it the Jalen Guyton, Josh Palmer show? There are a bunch of situations here. What becomes of Odell Beckham Jr.? Is he gonna re-up with the Rams? And does Sony re-up with the Rams? Sony looked good this year. Sony looked like he turned the corner. And
I'm gonna guess no, because Cam Akers is back. Darrell Henderson will come back.
Where does Sony end up? There's a bunch of moving pieces this year,
Rashad Penny, everyone's favorite running back.
Rashad Penny, I think he stays put.
Rashad Penny,
but
he probably stays. Probably stays in
Rashad
Seattle.
Penny, and if Jarvis Landry leaves the Browns, Donovan Peoples-Jones season.
DPJ baby.
If we're talking, this is a great year for tight ends with RASs above 9 being on the free agent market. We got David Njoku, we got Evan Ingram, we got OJ Howard, all on the free agent market. It's a great year for it.
I like Njoku, OJ Howard, snake bitten by injuries. Evan Ingram stinks.
Yes. Or was just a giant for the past 4 years.
True.
Could be.
He did play a year or two with Eli Manning.
Are we any more excited about the forgotten Irv Smith? Because
was that a torn ACL?
Adam Thielen, huh? Yeah.
Was that a torn ACL for Irv?
Yeah. Because Adam Thielen's 1 year older, looked to get banged up at times this season. We don't know what his future could look like long term, especially with the team moving away from Spielman and Zimmer.
And maybe Kirk Cousins.
We might be seeing Kellen Mond sooner than later. We really don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. By all accounts, he doesn't look that good, but we might just see him out of necessity because the team might move on from Kirk.
Right. Drafted him, tank away 2022, and just get an extended look at your young quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of moving pieces on every team.
Justin Jefferson might be in.
What are the Packers doing with Devontae and Aaron? What are the Steelers doing at quarterback? What are the Browns doing at wide receiver and quarterback?
Where does Russell Wilson go?
There
are a lot of potential moving parts this year that it's going to
be a fun off season.
It's going to make for a fun off season, and we will obviously be here for all of that.
Gallup just got injured at the end of the year. He's going to be going elsewhere.
Yep.
I could see him ending up in like a Jacksonville, replace DJ Chark, who should be going elsewhere too. Like, there's a ton of moving pieces, bro. A ton of moving pieces. You might not like those pieces. We're gonna have to do a lot of discussion about those pieces. But
we're just gonna have to talk about it all.
Ronald Jones is gonna be elsewhere.
We'll have it all, and we'll have it all covered right here on our channel.
Keyshawn Vaughn could be
if
running
and
back
when
too for Tampa.
Happen. Yep, if and when things happen.
Hey, Iron Never Lies. Do we have an injury update on Jameson Williams? We do not.
I thought I saw last night that there was expectation that it was an ACL injury. The severity, I don't know. He's going to be out for a little while. I mean, it's January, so there's plenty of time for him to recover in time for, say, training camp and the preseason. We're probably not going to see too much action from Jameson Williams, no matter where he goes in training
said he
camp.
Tore his ACL.
Yeah, I thought I had seen the torn ACL. So, this is a 6-month injury. So he's got the whole offseason to prepare for it. He might fall a little bit. I think he's being mocked in the first round of drafts. That might slip a little bit, but I don't think teams are as scared off by ACL injuries as they were even 5 years ago.
Per Adam Schefter's Twitter, and I quote, "Doctors believe that after surgery within the next 10 days, William retain his sub 4.3 speed, and they expect a full recovery." So it's not something that we're going to be worrying about in Dynasty, that's for sure.
No, he'll be fine.
Jameson Williams is absolutely going to be one of the wide receivers that we do a rookie draft profile on within the next coming days and weeks.
Yeah, next couple weeks.
He's a prospect I absolutely want to look into. Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, kid looks good. And obviously, hopefully he makes a full recovery from the injury. And there's not reason to be that. There obviously each individual and each injury is different, but ACL injuries they're not the death sentence that they had sometimes been before. There's still a rehab process.
Cam Akers coming back, playing a few snaps in last week's game.
I don't know if it's fair to use Cam Akers as an example because he's basically Thanos. Coming back from Achilles or worse. Achilles are what you want, like ACL, like Achilles are still like that one is like, oof, you don't want to hear that.
I mean, Donta Foreman came back, looked great.
True, but it took him like a couple of years. Akers, it took
but he's still
5 months.
young. Akers took 5 months. He's a Adrian Peterson level athlete in terms of his body and recovery. Yeah. Maybe not athlete, but absolutely in some form or fashion there. You don't recover that quickly if you're not next level.
Right.
And
with
I do
ACLs,
not play
it's not as bad.
That challenge that you're referencing. I do not.
There's still a lengthy rehab process with ACL injuries, and it's pretty common to see guys not all the way back to form their first year after the injury. We do see that a lot. So
with wide receivers, you see them come back more than running backs quickly.
You see them come back.
You
see them come back, but you see them needing to take some time to get fully back to 100%.
But running backs coming off of torn ACLs are I mean,
That's
it took Rashad Penny a long time.
That's a little scarier.
We're going to have to see about J.K. Dobbins because he had torn MCL and LCL.
Yeah, he
so
did
it. Wasn't
was
just
bad.
ACL. It's a little bit more involved. So he's a prospect I definitely want to dig into this offseason as well because is he a value? Is he a buy low? Is he... just a lot of moving pieces there. But
yeah.
But
so we'll see.
I think we're about to the end of the stream here.
Yeah, I guess I was just gonna say to Iron really quick. I play some challenges. I've kind of gotten away from it a little bit in the past couple of years. Maybe that's because I play Dynasty now. If you're interested in DFS, I wouldn't quite consider us DFS experts, but I am putting videos out for each game. With a little bit of some player notes, some breakdowns about the situation and the matchup. I'm not taking them all and accumulating it into now here's my lineup. Just trying to offer some advice based on who I like in each individual game and who I'm less inclined to be interested in adding to a daily lineup. So if that interests you at all, Iron, we've got the Saturday games. I have videos for the Saturday games on our channel now. The remaining 4 games I'll have videos for in the coming days, between tomorrow and Friday. Or between Wednesday and Friday, we'll have content out for the games if that interests you. But I've kind of gotten I'll be honest, I used to be heavy on playoff contests because that was, again, we kind of alluded to this earlier, before we played Dynasty, it was like you go through withdrawal when the fantasy season is over. Playoff contests were a way to, kind of buoy that a little bit for at least a few more weeks. I've gotten away from it a little bit by, now that I'm playing Dynasty, but still putting videos out for each individual game with some notes and information if that's helpful.
Yeah, and Will, I'm sorry for being so down on your trade. Don't mean to hurt your feelings.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
No, I'm probably gonna, for what it's worth, I'm probably gonna be wrong on Ridley, but he's the guy I am okay being wrong on. So,
as long as you're okay with it.
If I am. I'm okay with not having any Ridley on my team if he gets back to wide receiver 5. I don't think he will.
No, wide receiver 5, no. High end wide receiver 2.
But all right, guys, end of the stream. Thank you, guys. Thank you to everybody that's in here. Thank you for
thanks as always, everybody.
In the chat. If you liked what you this production and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated. Hit that like button too. That always helps us. And
does.
Hey, we'll see y'all Saturday.
2 p.m. We can obviously talk the playoff games. We can of course continue this discussion or any variation of it for as far as Dynasty, as far as the offseason, as far as redraft.
We might talk what we're rolling out as far as for members. Because we're gonna start opening up using the members functionality on this YouTube channel. So
just in case you're interested in that.
We'll start talking about how we're gonna roll that out and how you can become involved with Face Mask Fantasy a little bit more. But thank you to everybody out there. Have a great night, and we will see you in a few days.
See you this weekend. Thanks, everybody.
Peace.